Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this video of joining these legs for the crochet along doll, because I see some of you are running into some problems with the join, and I know the video that I shared, that's for my Black Girl Magic pattern, and the math is slightly different on that one, so it may be a little confusing for what you're supposed to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it with the actual doll that we're doing for the crochet along. Because I'm doing this now, that means that I will not be doing this live. So we'll talk about, if you have questions or something like that, we'll talk about it on the live, but I will not be doing this live because I'm doing it now. But just note, so here's some things to note. First of all, this is leg one. Leg one is the first leg that you made, and leg one is not connected to yarn. You fastened leg one off, but this is leg one. And because I am a right-handed crocheter, I will be working basically with leg one being in my left hand. Leg two is the leg that you should have just finished, and it should still be connected to working yarn or the yarn that you are using for your pants color. So this should still be connected to working yarn, but this is leg two. The other thing to note is that both of these legs should have ended in the front. So it shouldn't have been on the side, it shouldn't have been on the back. When you fasten this off on leg one, it should have kind of been almost centered with her leg in the front, or when I say in the front, with the feet, it should be where the feet are pointing out is where you should have fastened off. And that's the same thing for both of these legs. So even for this round on leg two, it should have still ended towards the front of the foot or with the foot pointing out. Working with the feet to join them, or working with the legs, your feet should be pointed towards you. So my feet are like they're pointed towards me as I'm working on them. You do not want to work these. You can like if you're able to do it with them facing this way, by all means do that, but I don't recommend it. You should be working with them pointed towards you, because if you work the other way, then it switches it around, and to me, I can't, like, then you're gonna have to crochet this way, and no, that's not what we're doing. So work with the feet pointed towards you. So the points of your feet, or the front of your feet, should be facing you. And again, both of these should have been fastened off in the front of the leg, or like down towards the feet part, not the back, not the sides. They should have been almost, like I said, almost centered with her leg and her feet. The goal here is to connect these and have the feet as straight as possible. You don't want this when you connect them, and you don't necessarily want this when you connect them. Now, I will tell you, even doing it the way that I do it, she will still be slightly knock-kneed, because for whatever reason, leg two always wants to just come in just a little bit. I don't know why I've tried many different ways to get them straight, and without like cutting yarn and just sewing them together. It's always just slightly knock-kneed, but it's not super obvious. Like, they will be straight, they should be straight, with just a slight turn inward for leg two. Now what we're gonna do, again, if your legs did not end in the front, you're gonna have to do your legs over again. Like, if your legs ended on the side or in the back, the math is not going to work for you. Your legs would have had to end it in the front, down the center, for this math to work. I would tell you to just eyeball it, because the goal is to simply get them connected with the feet pointed as forward as possible. But if you eyeball it, the problem is I'm not going to be able to tell you the eyeball math. Like, I'm not going to be able to tell you, oh, well, if you did it in this stitch, then now do this. So the easiest thing is going to be for you to go back and do your legs again and make sure that your legs ended in the front and that you are working with the legs, with the feet pointed towards you. And so the first round, and just so you know too, I do start counting over. I know some people are like, well, how's this row one, round one? Because my leg join, I start counting over. I don't just keep counting. Like I know some people might say, well, whatever the last leg or whatever the last row was on the leg, just start counting from there. That's confusing to me, so I just start counting again from the leg join. So round or row one of the leg join says that you will do 2 single crochet, one, or it says 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So we're going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 single crochet. So, and basically what I'm trying to do is get close to this leg as possible. So I needed to move over 2 stitches so that I could get a little bit closer to that leg one. So I'm going to single crochet, 1 single crochet into those first 2 stitches, and then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And these do count as stitches. You will be working into these stitches. So, and note that I did not move my stitch marker because this is still the end of this round for me. It's still here. So we single crocheted in 2, we chain 3. We are now going to take leg 1, and the pattern says to single crochet in the 14th stitch after the fasten off. So we fastened off here. I start counting this way. We count counterclockwise. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me see if this goes back into focus. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I'm going to connect into that 14th stitch because I know that I have 16 stitches in there. I knew that it was going to be 2 stitches out, but the easiest way for me to explain it for pattern purposes is to say to single crochet into the 14th stitch after the fasten off. And just note, when you're counting the stitches, we count, you know, we count clockwise, not counterclockwise. I know I said counterclockwise earlier. We count clockwise. So 14th stitch, counting clockwise on that first leg. So we chain 3. We're now going to single crochet into that 14th stitch, which is going to join our 2 legs together. And because I've done this already, so I had already cut off the tail of leg 1, so it's a little bit harder. And then we're going to single crochet into the next 12. What does the pattern say? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the pattern and trying to do this at the same time. And 1 single crochet in the next 13 stitches. So 1, 2, I will try to cover this up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So we single crochet into 13 stitches, which is going to bring us to the back of this. And so now we're at the back of leg 1. Note that there are 2 stitches that we are leaving out on purpose. And so we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to be working on leg 2, and we are going to start in, we're going to skip 2 stitches on leg 2 as well, because we left 2 stitches out on leg 1, so I need to leave 2 stitches out on leg 2. So we're just going to skip 2 stitches after the first stitch, or the last stitch that we made on leg 2. So 1, 2, and then we're going to single crochet in the next leg 1 single crochet in the next 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that should take us to our stitch marker for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and like I said, it ends where our stitch marker is, so we'll take that out, and that is now 12. So we should now have a total of 34 stitches, including the chain 3 stitches. Because we took those 2 stitches out of each leg, our legs are now made up of 14 stitches, and then we have the 6 chain 3, or yeah, so we have chain 3 in the front and chain 3 in the back, so there are 6 chain stitches. But our each leg is made up of 14 stitches, because we took 2 stitches out of each leg. And don't worry about that gap, we are gonna close that gap up later, but just note. So now this is what it should look like. And as I mentioned, the goal was to get them as forward pointing as possible. Again, when I stand her up, you can tell that she is slightly knock-kneed, and that's just the nature of what it's going to be. But it shouldn't be this. You shouldn't have this, and you shouldn't have this. They should be like this when you stand her up. And now we're just going to continue to crochet, and 1 crochet in each stitch. And again, it should be 34 stitches. Be careful that you're not missing stitches, and be careful and make sure that you're crocheting into the chain 3s, because they do count. Of course, my hook don't want to go into my chain 3. I can tell you the space that most people miss most often when doing this is this stitch right here. So most people miss the stitch right after the chain 3. There is a stitch there. Make sure that you are crocheting into the stitch after the chain 3. It's very easy to miss that one. So if your count is off, if you keep getting 32, if you keep getting 33, it's possible that you're missing a stitch right next to the chain 3 stitch. So again, we are just crocheting in each stitch around. This should be 34 stitches, including the chain 3s. We're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Like I said, it's hard for me to work like this because I'm so used to having it close to my body. I don't know why that second stitch is so hard to get into that second chain. Okay, and so now this is what your leg join should look like. So after you do that, your legs are now joined together, and you can continue doing the pattern as stated. Okay, so the next round says for us to do 1 single crochet in the next 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That is going to bring me like kind of right before I get to like, it's like the side, like her hip, I guess you can say, going into her back. And this is where we're going to give her just a slight booty, so you can see that the pattern says to do a single crochet increase, basically 2 single crochet in the next stitch and then 1 single crochet in the next 3 times. And so I'm going to do 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1. And so, and then after we do that, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And then it says for us to single crochet 3 together. So I know you guys are used to seeing the single crochet 2 together, but I now want to take away. So instead of doing just a regular decrease where I just single crochet decrease over 2 stitches, I'm going to single crochet over 3 stitches. You can still do this as an invisible decrease. So I'm going to insert my hook underneath the first stitch, insert my hook underneath the second stitch, and I'm just going underneath the front loop. So the front loop of the first stitch, the front loop of the second stitch, and the front loop of the third stitch. And so I technically have 4 loops on my hook. So 1, 2, 3, and then there's a loop here. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull through all the loops on my hook. And I just did a single crochet 3 together. And then next it says 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet into the next stitch. And so I'm going to do my 1 single crochet, and then it says for me to do 1 single crochet in the next, 2 single crochet in the next 3 times. And so I'm going to do another single crochet and then 2 or increase, a single crochet and then 2 so that I can increase, a single crochet and then 2 so that I can increase, and then the pattern says 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so now we have 38 stitches. So now you should have 38 stitches. And then for round 4 through 7, we are simply going to single crochet into each stitch around. Don't forget, at the end of round 7, you should switch to your skin tone yarn. And so that is how you join the legs with this one. I hope that helps. The main thing you want to be sure is that your legs, for one, ended in the front. So both legs should have ended in the front. You also want to make sure that you're working with the feet pointed towards you while you're working, and that should allow you to be able to do your increases on the back. That should help with the math and make sure that it comes out right. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, because I'm doing this video now, I won't be doing this live. So if you have any questions about anything, be sure to ask, and I will do my best to answer. Or if you haven't watched the video, I will probably direct you to this video.